Jake Peralta versus Paul Blart. This week's Who Would Win? Paul Blart, the first Paul Blart, is to this day the movie that I went to see the most times in theaters. I saw Paul Blart 4 times in the theater. That is my number one. People just kept asking me to go. So I went. And you know what? I liked that movie a lot. I still like that, well, I'm not going to say I still like it, but it's better than I think people give it credit for. Like, it's not
Isn't
terrible.
there a second one?
There is a Paul Blart 2. That one's also not great. But while I'm talking Blart, I just want to say, in general, people sometimes will shit on Kevin James because of Paul Blart specifically. And you're a lunatic. King of Queens is honestly a phenomenal show. And I know that maybe it's like, oh, fat guy and his hot wife, whatever. I'm telling you, that
I don't
show is
mind King
so
of
fucking
Queens. The
funny.
dad is funny.
Exactly. Arthur
Yeah,
Spooner, Jerry Stiller,
yeah.
again, killing it with another sitcom role and just blowing it out of the water. Arthur
Well, he's just good
Spooner,
at being the dad of
he
like
really is.
the annoying dad.
He's just good at doing his thing. Arthur Spooner is has a lot of moments that match Frank Costanza without a doubt. That is a phenomenal Who Would Win of the Week to keep in mind, actually.
Yeah.
But
Um,
getting back on track.
Peanut butter and jelly. That's probably my. And when he puts on the whole, my favorite scene in that movie used to be that one when his phone
Yeah.
rings, and yeah, and when he puts on all the goalie gear. Or
Yeah.
no, he doesn't. He fake puts it on. Doesn't he put it on? Doesn't he put the mannequin on the Segway and send the Segway in?
At one point I'm pretty
And then
sure he
and
has the goalie stuff on.
but then at one point he uses it as a decoy. I think.
At one
I don't
point.
think he ever puts it on. I think he only
No, I
uses it as
swear
a
to God, he
decoy.
puts it on. I feel like I remember his eyes opening, like behind somebody in the goalie mask.
I think he hides in it and hits him with a
Yeah,
stick. Yeah,
something like that. Which
yeah, I think you're right.
leads into this point: how resourceful is Paul Blart?
Very.
Insanely resourceful. Maybe,
Yeah.
perhaps the
Also
most.
diabetic though.
He's not diabetic. He's got hypoglycemia.
Oh.
Although he probably has diabetes as well, but
Um.
I don't know if those are
Here's the
mutually
thing though, is that
exclusive.
Jake Peralta, these two are kind of in the same category because everybody Jake Peralta's like a goofball, so everybody said he in and is look like not in the greatest shape, kind of whatever. So everybody assumes he's incapable, but deep down they both have some pretty like good skills as far as the way that they do things,
Sure.
although they may be obscure.
Real police or detective
They're
work.
both underdog stories.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess I'll put it like
Yeah,
that.
but people really expect nothing from them, and then when it comes crunch time, both of these guys are about as dependable as you can get. Physically, Paul Blart is obviously larger, but you make a good call with the hypoglycemia. When does that become a factor? If he is not able
Well,
to dispel Jake Peralta quickly enough, that shit's going to kick in and he's going to need a pixie stick.
the other thing about it too is that Paul Blart is very good at thinking on his feet, and that was advantage him in the movie because the guy, the crime boss or whatever you want to call him, the guy that was heading the robbery, was so unsure that nothing would go wrong that he didn't really have any type of a backup plan
Mm-hmm.
except for to kind of chase Paul Blart frantically around a mall that Paul Blart obviously knows better than anybody. Whereas Jake Peralta, I feel like, is very good at creating these weird, obscure plans that end up tricking people into doing exactly what he wants them to do when they actually think they're beating out beating him out in the first place by doing it. But he's really kind of forcing their hand into it without them even knowing.
That is an excellent point. I mean, to show some examples, obviously you see that from Jake in the Halloween episodes, all the heist episodes, he's obviously a
Yeah.
guy who excels when he can put together a very involved plan. He's got top-notch plans. But if you look at the episode where he's talking to that dentist, the whole episode is him interrogating that dentist. In the moment, he really struggles to come up with ideas on how to try and get a confession out of that guy, right? So in a fight, when you got to think on your feet, again, advantage Blart.
But yes, but if Peralta has time to come up with a plan, then Blart's thinking on his feet would probably hurt him because it Peralta would probably consider that
That's
because
true.
that's how he does it.
Yeah.
So it's can Jake Peralta come up with an initial plan that will defeat Paul Blart? I thought I was gonna go with. I'm gonna have to go with Blart. I'm gonna have to agree with you here, and the reason that I say that is because you're right. If he doesn't have time to come up with a plan, he's not as good at coming up with a plan kind of as it goes.
Jake,
He
that
needs to
is.
be able to develop that and think it all the way
Yeah.
through. And in that time, the time that it would take to do that, Blart would be able to think on his feet, probably take him out. Then the pixie stick would never come into play.
Yeah, the one interesting thing though is with Paul Blart, like you said, he does know that mall better than anyone. And I will
And that's
say,
to advantage.
yeah, and Peralta with the Halloween heists and stuff, those I'm pretty sure all, if not mostly, take place in
Yes, are in
the
the station.
in the station. So again, both kind of dependent on home field
Well,
advantage, but I
yeah.
do think
So
Peralta
when you
has
take both of that out,
I guess so, but I do think Peralta has a little more experience with away games. But I
yes.
guess because of the dependence on pre planning, that again does not really become a factor. So
Yep.
I will say, always bet on Blart. Always bet on
Yeah,
Blart.
always bet on Blart.
He's the man.
They're both underdog stories, though. Who knows?
Yeah.
Could be, we'll see
It's
what
a
the
good
people say.
fight.
So vote
I
on
think it's a
that.
good fight.
Ooh. So vote on that on Friday on our Instagram. Let us know. Remember, I don't know if this is how everybody else's brains work, but this is how mine works. From here on out, my brain is thinking 51 weeks from now, when we do the Tournament of Champions, who's going to come out on top.